Okay, guys, back here now with an update on Tesla per the polling this morning. So this is a 3-day chart. Now we've done it several times. We've been over it a few times. So the first impulse into our all-time high here, let's call it 390-ish. I mean, pretty straightforward, right? Not a lot there. These nice juicy pivots here, so obviously a great spot to look for some median lines, some market geometry. So if I grab up, get right on that here. All right, so pretty good there, right? We were not to the tick, so you look at it and you go, huh, okay, well, I've got a corner pocket, right? So clearly this 80%, well, it's close there, but clearly we get there and little chop around it. But you look at that and you think, well, yeah, it's not precise, but then you would have another one here. So I would do the exact same thing here. So looking, now I've got 3 additional pivots as I go through here. So if you were a little unsure about precision, look at that. That is literally to the tick. So, guys, as I've often said, if I had only one tool that I could use, right, I could trade just fine with nothing but median lines. It's really everything after that. Sure, the algo pulls are helpful. So if I were prioritizing, and I've told you guys this shit, it's in some of our belt testing. If I had to prioritize, Elliott Wave would not be at the top of the list, right? And this is a good example of Elliott Wave where it's just not terribly helpful, right? Dealing with this. Can we get a count on it? Yeah, we can get a count on it. But is it really helping you? I'm not so sure that's adding any help here to try and analyze what's happening here. What does seem to be working is the market geometry here. It's just incredibly precise. So there's no reason to assume that wouldn't continue. We know that's in play here. So if I pull these out of here now, knowing that I've got some sort of completed impulse here, and now we're in the process of correcting that. Well, there'd be no reason to assume anything other than that's likely to continue. So let me go down to a 4-hour here and scrunch this up here, and we'll work through the count. But I think to some degree, you have to ask yourself, is it really helping you? So here's our pivot up here. So once again, I've got a nice set of I've got 3 juicy pivots I can use here. So I grab this low to this low here. I'm not quite right on it there. You gotta be right on these. Right, there we go. Yeah, spot on. Okay, so right, this was to the tick. Right, I mean, I can put them in front of you all day long, right? You got to draw these up, right? So people wonder, what's the deal? What's the deal with the trade devil thing? What's that all about? Well, it's just pitchforks, right? That's all that was, right? It's partly just I'm amazed how few people use them. It's just astonishing. There is no technical package anywhere that you can buy that will not have a set of pitchforks and median lines in it. There's none, right? It's probably the most the least used technical indicator of everything available to people. It just astonishes me, right? I mean, what is that, 3, 4 in a row? Well, no, let's keep going, right? No reason to think that's not going to continue. Well, I got another one right here, right? So I got nice 3 right here. Tag it. Now, this is also very common here. So this 80% gets realized. So it's one right after the other. So it's just back to back to back. You draw them every time you get 3 pivots. Boom, 80% realized. Right? How many times do you need to get 80% realized in a row before you never bring up a chart again with 3 pivots on it that don't draw median lines? Right? So Elliott traders are in here going, what the hell is this? Right? It's just an absolute cluster of could be this, could be that. Well, we got to change it, invalidated that. It's not terribly helpful here. But these, oh my God, right? You don't need the Elliott wave at all times to guide every trading decision. It's a tool, just like median lines are a tool. If you look at this thing, you go, I don't know what the hell's going on in here, right? That doesn't mean necessarily you abandon and look to the next chart because you can't get an Elliott count that fits. What is working? What is the market responding to? Right. So why after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row, and then look here, this is a very common, just like a channel to test the underside of it, boom, reaction. Well, why would you assume anything other than that's likely to continue? So if we just look here, well, this is deep, but I've got 3 pivots. Right, so certainly want to pay attention to this. All right, now we're not there yet, but if I'm looking for let's get this right on there. If I'm looking for a guideline, look how this edge of this has just held this all the way down. Just gorgeous, right? So I wouldn't assume anything other than we're going to tag that median line. And if we don't, that's a tell, right? So it would show strength coming into the market. Failure to make the median line, trading principle number 4, right? So it's a move equal to, think about that, equal to or greater than the move that preceded it that failed to get there, equal to or greater than. All right, just back of your mind, keep that somewhere stashed away. Now, okay, with all of that established, right? So for students and members in here that are struggling with their Elliott Wave, or I shouldn't say struggling, working on their Elliott Wave. Well, this is a great chart challenge, right? So at this point in time, before I go into it, I'd encourage you to test yourself, see what you get there, right? Not an easy one. It took me about 3-4 tries and a little counsel from some of my senseis who are they're better Elliotticians than I am. I had to check with them to see if we had a valid count here. All right, so it does appear like I've got to work this into a WXY. So the ABC here is pretty solid, right? So the A, the B, and I have a gap here that I have to deal with. So you can't see it as well on the 4 hour, but on the 1 hour, there's a little retrace into that 4 to give you the 5. But then this is just nuts here, but you do essentially have a motive here. So I can get the ABC into the 2. There's the 3, very deep 4, uncharacteristically deep 4, but there I get my diagonal into an A wave. It's not pretty, but I don't see another. I looked at multiple alternates here. I don't see another way to count this. So we've got to work this as an A, B, down deep for the B, and then we come up for the C to give us our X wave here. So WX. Now, trying to get an ABC in here, well, it's a little bit of process of elimination. So what can we get? You got is that a 1, 2, 3? The ABC is solid. So it looks like you've got to work the first 5 into this skinny B. So from the pivot here, it runs into the Vegas wave, front run or structure, hard to say. All right, we got this structure right here. It runs into that low volume. Well, we don't quite make the 50 where we had the true low volume. So front run, just look across, right? This is always a good idea. Right, when you see something, God damn it, come here. You see something like that, just look here. Right, just this area here, it's resistance, support. Blows through, we coming back, front run, hard to say, right? It just was too weak to get there. But these kind of areas have a tendency to come back into play in the market. And note where it lines up here, where we have market rejecting that price point. Not completely, we've had some trading there, but I'm looking at a lot of a lot of history here. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. So pulling that across looks like that's our stiff resistance. So coming down, so sorry guys. A, B, looks like 1, 2 is in. All right, here's my shorthand. So if I'm going to draw the whole thing up, thinking, okay, A, maybe you've got the B here. So now you're playing for a truncated C. I'll leave it there for the time being because it's deeper. 1, 2 looks okay. So from this pivot, if that's the 1, right to the golden zone. So here we've just tagged that. So we look and now we think, okay, well, if that's correctly labeled, this should be some help here. So if I get right to that, well, note here what we do, right? And we get a bounce, right? So I always tell you guys, it's a nice little shorthand for the 1618, that negative 100 because of the retrace right to the golden zone. So we have perfectly technical trading, right? I mean, it can't get any better, right? Right to the golden zone, boom, right to the 1618. So odds are very high that we've got a 1, 2, 3 going in. So now we don't know that this is going to hold, but the anticipation would be some sort of a retrace, excuse me, and then coming down for the 5. Right, and then put that back in the context of what we know this market is responding to. All right, we come back up here and get it right on there. Well, so now you look and say, well, if we're done here, we're going to keep it skinnier? Hard to say, right? If we get outside of it, I wouldn't abandon just yet. I would put a runner on it. So I might put Did I get the wrong thing there? I want my median lines. Let's get, here we go. What do I want here? What am I doing here? Oh, I'm getting the wrong. I want you highlighted. That's what I want here. Now I want settings. Okay, so now I'd put the 1.5 on that. Let's get you back here. All right, so I've got a sliding parallel here. Jesus Christ, okay, so something like that. Come into the 3, 4. We don't know what this looks like, right? So this, right, just a guesstimate, got to lay out a roadmap of some sort here. So that might potentially put us going lower here. Now we're starting to move away from this set of median lines. So potentially a redraw. But until we get something to break this pattern here to get us to come back into this area of market acceptance and start push back for a deeper retracement, I don't see any reason to assume anything other than this continues down here. So if this is our 3, the 4 is going in, 5 is going to be likely down here lower to finish our ABC. So we've got targets. We've got targets down here. Excuse me. I'm so sorry, guys. So I might also, just out of curiosity, just to look for some confluence, see if I get anything. Well, that's going to be too steep. Maybe not too steep, right? They're not always there. So if you don't see it there, that might get interesting here. So if I can get it right there, just kind of looking. So I've got a fairly good confluence point down here. I'm not to the tick. So I would just kind of be watching. But at this point, is this pivot going to hold, right? It's perfectly technical. Now, thinking back here. So let's just pull some of this off and think about where we could be going. So just to clear up the chart, if this is going to keep going. So let me go back. Let's go back to a daily here. Excuse me. Okay, so at this point, we're pulling from our absolute low. So I'm just going to wick that off. So I don't have to keep going left. That's close enough here for this. So from my low to my high, where would that put us? Right into the golden zone. Right, I did not, drew that up somewhat randomly, right? Apparently I've been doing this too long. Okay, there we go. All right, so coming down for the 3, 4, 5, excuse me, into the golden zone here, wouldn't surprise me at all. Right now, is that setting up a buying opportunity? Well, I'm a long-term bull. I'm going to pay attention if we get there. If we get into that golden zone, I've got that kind of tight range to be a buyer in. But until then, I think the path of least resistance remains down. This is a reasonable target. Obviously, we came to this zone, tested it, and that's where we launched from. But I don't know that I'd be sitting down here with a limit order, but I would certainly want to be alerted if we start heading down to these levels to pay attention for potentially a trade setting up. And then in that same spirit of getting some median lines on it, of course, the first one I would draw if we were to get there. Talk about a monster golden. All right, 80% of getting there. Well, we know we could get here, right? That's a monster golden right there. That's a golden corner pocket to pay attention to if we get there. All right, we'll see. Okay, guys, that's pretty much all I got for now. All right, talk to you later.